Recording. All right. Okay, so welcome to today's webinar, Lead Generation Tips for Professional Services by Juuga Marketing. My name is Humphrey, and today I'm joined by my guest, Shona Fraser from Heartspace Interior. So why don't we go ahead and start. Joshua, if you are able to join us with the audio, more than happy to listen to your voice and understand what you're looking for today, and maybe some quick introduction for yourself as well, so we get to know you a little bit more. You can just join anytime if you want. Okay, but a quick slide about Juuga Marketing. So why we're here. So I've been in digital marketing since 2012. It's my seventh year in business now, almost. So I've been really doing a lot of small businesses. I've actually worked for a travel startup in China. I've also worked for a larger software company here in Canada. So my range is actually quite wide. And since I've been doing my own marketing business, we've been helping with smaller solopreneurs, smaller, medium-sized businesses from all around. I myself am certified in Google Analytics and Google Ads, and I'm also a certified consultant for ActiveCampaign, which is an email marketing kind of platform. We currently manage about $20,000 of monthly ad budgets for clients. So these are some of the work that we have done before. And I'll let Shona introduce herself a little bit.
Okay. My name is Shona Fraser. I'm an interior designer, and I also offer home staging services here in Vancouver. I graduated from BCIT as a certified interior designer in 2007, so I've been at this for about 12 years now. And yeah, Heartspace Interiors is going on its second year as doing it full-time for myself, and I consider myself a home beautifier. My main goal when working with clients is to bring out their unique personality, their joy, their passions, and translate that into their physical space in their homes.
Okay, excellent. So let's jump into today's topic.
Yes, please.
So today's topic is about professionals. So what makes professionals different, and how do we actually generate leads for professionals? So what I found is that with professionals, it's really about selling your expertise, your authority, and your trust. So without these three things, it's very difficult for any potential clients or any leads to know about you, to get understanding what you are, to either engage you any further. So a big part of it is building the three things: the expertise, your authority, and your trust. So a quick slide on what marketing in today's world is. So it's all about, the first thing is that with visitors, people coming into your website, these are not necessarily people who are interested to buy. They may have be aware of who you are. They may have seen an ad from somewhere. These are people who just stumble upon your website. However, to change them from a visitor to a lead, you really need to capture them, capture the intent as well. That's the key. Capture the intent. So once they become your lead, you still need the time to nurture them. Nurture them with some regular updates, with the ways of a process of building your trust, building who your characters are, what kind of services that you offer, in order to turn them into a customer. Okay, and you need to sometimes use an offer to push these clients to give them an incentive to buy, right? And afterwards, once they become your customer, you really would ask them for a referral, because you've impressed them so much and they become your fans, and they would like to refer you to many of their friends and families. So that's really the whole marketing in today's world. Okay, so who are some of your leads? So with the leads, it's all about knowing your buyer's profile. So a lot of professionals in particular, when I ask them the question, who are your ideal clients? A lot of them will say anybody can be their clients, but they're not necessarily the most ideal clients. That's what I'm finding. I often would help them break down who these buyer profiles are, at what stages they're in, or what kind of experience they have before they've met you. So I think that would be a good way to distinguish what are some buyer profiles are. the big thing is really also about knowing the difference between interest and intent. Interest and intent. So interest may be people who stumble upon your website, who has been looking at your blog posts, who have been coming to the webinars, but they're not necessarily ready to buy, okay, to learn a little bit more. But whereas intent, if we start looking into your website perspective, they may be the people who would also look at your pricing page, or they may be requesting a demo or a meeting. So people who actually have an intent to know a little bit more about what you do. Joshua, can you hear me properly? I'm hearing
Yes.
you. Okay, cool. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, or if you'd like to do a quick intro of what you do, you can feel free to do that right now as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes. Hear me clearly?
Yeah. Can you hear?
Yes, I
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
Hi,
Excellent.
Josh.
Hey, yeah, my name's Joshua. I'm located in Vancouver. Graduated from Simon Fraser University in 2017 with communications and entrepreneurship degrees. Currently, I run a digital marketing agency called Collective. I specialize more so in social media growth hacking and graphic design and merchandising, and I also run an e-commerce apparel clothing line as well. But just here to just learn new tactics on generating leads because it's more so been my business partner specialty when it came to generating leads. And for me, that's something I just want to challenge myself a little bit is to get better at generating leads on my own. So yeah,
Okay.
that's
Cool.
a quick introduction.
Cool. Welcome. So yeah, I don't think I mentioned it on the event page today, but we actually have a guest that can talk about a little bit more about her industry as well. So this will be a treat, I think.
Hey,
All
thank you.
right. Cool. So we're gonna move on. So actually, we have some questions for you, Shona.
Okay.
So so my questions would be, so where are some of your leads coming from? What are some of the sources of business coming from? And what are some of the challenges that you find in the industry, in the interior design industry, for example?
Well, I was really excited that Humphrey invited me to do this webinar today because most of my, I would say almost 100% of my leads and referrals are word of mouth. So I get to know peers in my industry, so contractors, tradespeople, even vendors who get to know me and like me and then refer me to their clients or pass my card along. In the home staging realm, it's definitely realtors. One realtor will use me, like my service, like how I do what I do, and then pass my information on to people in their office who are looking for stagers or post about me on their. A lot of them have like internal systems, sort of a billboard system that they'll share my information. So for me to have a friendship with someone like Humphrey, where it's so digital and so online, I'm like, oh, I gotta tap into that for sure. Past clients are also a great referral source for me. My challenges right now are definitely qualified leads, because again, with word of mouth, it's obviously for me, it's an honor to be top of mind for someone who wants to connect me with their friends and family, but they don't always know whether that person is at a spot where they need a designer, whether they can afford to work with a designer, what their budget is, things like that. So that's where my responsibility comes in, to give them a call, see where they're at in the process, see if they want a consultation, what their budget is like, what their project is like overall, and take it from there. Making sure that I'm the right fit for them and that they're the right fit for me. Being young in business, since I'm only in my second year, I have had to start to learn that not all clients are good clients for me, and I'm not the best designer for everybody. So that's been a learning curve, which is, I think every business owner goes through that. Especially, I'm a people pleaser and I love everybody, so I want to help everybody, and then it doesn't always turn out good for anyone involved. And then educating clients on what the design process really is. I mean, we're saturated, especially in Vancouver. I feel like it's a very design heavy city. Lots of people get magazines, lots of people watch HGTV shows, where a project is crammed into 45 minutes. How do I then take that and translate it into what expectations should actually be for a renovation project, especially if people haven't done one before. for commercial projects when there's permits that are needed, and working with the city to do everything legally and in the correct order, and things like that. So educating clients is also a challenge.
Okay. So do you find that people who are big fans of HGTV or the DIY people, are they better clients for you, or are they typically not as good of a client for you?
It depends on the individual and again their level of expectation. I think by now people realize that something like a show like Trading Spaces, where they take 5 days to completely redo a place, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. And I think Vancouver in general has an understanding that in terms of contractors, the good ones are busy, and the ones who aren't busy aren't good. So that's been beneficial for me. I think it's educating on what's available on the market at the moment. Also educating about, from my perspective, I'm not big on trends. So one thing about HGTV or magazines is it's usually quite on trend or a specific look. And for me, I'm wanting to help my clients figure out what they really, really love, and not just replicating something that they've seen in media. So that's a different spin for me.
I see. But do you see people actually asking you for these trends, for example?
Yes,
Yeah.
I had one client who she had seen something in a magazine, and she was dead set that that's what she wanted to do. And then once we started working together, and once I started to discover her personality, and we developed our rapport, she realized that what she had seen in the magazine, even though it really appealed to her, it wasn't going to work in her space, because what she had seen was in a larger home, and she had a 1 bedroom and den. So being able to replicate it was just not going to work out in the amount of space that she had. But we took what she liked about that photo and translated it into something that would work for her space. So in the end, she got something that she liked even more than the original inspiration photo.
Oh, wow.
So it's definitely a jumping off point, but I try not to get so stuck on that one look.
Okay. So you actually touched upon. Thank you, Shona. You actually touched upon quite a few things. I think that we're going to talk about the next slide, right?
Great,
So we
yeah.
talk about the different types of leads coming from, right? It's either we separate into both inbound and outbound. When we start talking about inbound, we're talking about people reaching out and searching for you, right? So we're talking about lead magnets. We're talking about, let's say, an industry white paper. For your type of work, it could be a YouTube channel. It could be an Instagram picture. That's really more of an inbound type of not advertising, but more like letting people to know what you can offer, or what the trend is, or what kind of work that you usually do. What I find is that with webinar or even advertising in a lot of ways, that we can make it as an inbound. So get people's interest in what you do, and then it's an easier sale, I think, than a lot of the outbounds. So in terms of the outbound, just going through the slides as well, in terms of the outbound, we're talking about cold calling, we're talking about having a trade show booth, right? The home and garden show that we just went, right? It was a big outbound where people just go out and start promoting, start advertising about themselves. Of course, referrals and upsells, these are another ways to outbound for an outbound type of marketing, because with upsell especially, is when you have an existing client basically that you work with, and then you would ask them, hey, is there anything else that I can help you with? That in itself is an outbound call for people. We also talk about speaking engagements and also social listening. So I was just telling to you earlier too, somebody on Facebook was asking for a type of, let's say, a pet insurance, and then I basically just tag our favorite insurance agents and say, hey, can you help? And then she'll reply back and say, oh yes, I can help, or no, I cannot help. It's a lot easier. So this type of like a social listening that you can do. And when people are looking for a certain type of design, for example, that's really more like, hey, let me see if I can help you. Right? That's kind of reaching out to people. Okay, let's see. Next slide. All right. So some of the main sources for leads and professionals, you already talked about it quite a bit actually. A lot of them actually coming from referrals, simply because of the fact that you need to build up that credibility, that expertise, and that trust. Right, trust is a huge factor, especially for professional services. So with referral, a lot of them are from friends, family, community, referral partners, and even social media and industry networking. Do you belong in any industry kind of or any business type of networking that you want to?
Yes, well, Humphrey and I are members of a Business Networking International chapter here in Vancouver, which has been absolutely phenomenal for me as a business person. And I am part of a women's entrepreneurial group out in Coquitlam in the suburbs, which I've just joined. And they are actually offering a trade show in April, so I will be a featured speaker there, which
Cool.
is going to be great for me. I used to offer professional organizing as part of my business, and I was a member of that organization as well, Professional Organizers in Canada, but I've stopped doing that, so I withdrew from that organization, but they are top notch. They're really, really great.
Yeah, yeah, and there's also a lot of business communities, the board of trades, the meetup groups. They're good people to meet. Sometimes, especially if there's a speaker that speaks about your type of industry, and I think those are really good places to get referrals and get to know the people, get to know the community a
Yeah.
little bit more. Another type of the lead sources would be like a paid ads, so Facebook, Google ads, or even from an industry kind of lead form, I call that. Because a lot of the industries, they would say, oh, if you need help, just contact us. And then it sometimes goes into a rotating kind of roster, so that would work as well. I want to talk about a little bit offline about source of lead as well. So sometimes direct mail or door hanger. Sometimes it sounds like very old school, very cheesy, but it actually works okay too. From coming from somebody who does digital, I think
Right.
that's quite a testimonial. Like because you get a lot of people are relying on digital, but don't forget and don't discount the physical and the tactile, the feeling of it. It
Right.
does convey trust a little bit more
Yeah.
as well.
For door hangers, it occurs to me the nostalgia of, when I was a kid, I would come home and there would be, the pizza menu or a Chinese restaurant menu hanging on the door handle. So there'd be,
Yeah.
if you could design it to look sort of early 90s, that would be kind of a fun thing to do.
Yeah. Okay. So another question for you. I think we may have talked about it a bit more, but let's
Mhm.
delve a little bit deeper into this. So what are some examples of the lead magnets that are useful for you for your industry?
Well, for me, I've gotten a lot of doing speaking engagements, whether it's online webinars like the one we're doing today, or in-person talks. Like I mentioned, I have one coming up in April that I'm really excited about. And being able to see people face to face and receive questions and have that interaction, which again bolsters the level of trust and shows my expertise and authority in what I do. And always being able to have that connection with someone in person or through the screen is great too. In the interior design world, there's always parties. There's parties everywhere all the time, and whether they're being held by vendors, designers who have studio space or little storefronts, and it's a way for us to connect with our peers within the industry, get to know who's working on what, who's doing what, and then also make sure we know what's happening in terms of the technology and trends within our industry. Again, I don't like to work specifically with trends, but if I know what's out there and I know what's available, again, that builds my expertise, my authority in what I do, and I get to know vendors, I get to know the product. So those are highly beneficial within my industry. And in terms of online presence, Instagram has been a huge tool for me as a designer. Not necessarily as a sales tool, but getting to know local makers, getting to know furniture makers, getting to know artists, getting to know contractors and other tradespeople in town that I can call upon, perhaps collaborate with. If I'm working with a client who is dedicated to local art, I have several local artists that I'm connected to, more so than just knowing who's at 1000 Parker Street, or who's at Octopus, which are beautiful studios, and I love to go there all the time. But having a little bit more of a personal connection, being able to get on Instagram, send someone a direct message and say, hi, I'd like to show your art to my client. Do you have studio hours? Things like that. Just builds my authority as a designer in town. So, yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier too that it serves as an inspiration
Yes.
piece, right, for potential clients.
Absolutely. I am the queen of the repost. If I see something that I love and that I would like to design for someone, or something that's in the vein that I would like to offer a potential client, knowing that there's a high chance that they'll be on my Instagram at some point in the connecting process, being able to say, hey, here's this gorgeous 80s, I posted a few days ago, this gorgeous 80s inspired pink and green bathroom, which is just to die for. And knowing that if there's someone out there who wants to renovate their home and do it in a total 80s style, that I'm the designer for them, because I would die to do that.
Right, right. And I think we also mentioned about hashtags.
Oh yeah, we talked about hashtags. Hashtags are the #1 way that I grew my Instagram, because I am not that tech savvy, I guess, or I'm not social media savvy. So hashtags have been the greatest, because if I know I'm looking for something, I'll use a hashtag rather than trying to search it, and vice versa. I've had so many people come and comment on my posts. I don't always post about design either. I post about some social issues. I mean, here in Canada recently we had Pink Shirt Day, which is an anti-bullying campaign. So being able to post about that and hashtag about that, it brings more awareness to who I am as a person in terms of causes that mean something to me, and create more connection with my viewers. But it also just increases traffic and increases that flow. And I love hashtags.
Okay.
Who doesn't love hashtags?
Hashtag. All right. Okay. All right. So what I find is that when we're helping clients as well, when we're creating lead magnets, okay, we're just making sure that we're having a goal in mind, or when we're creating lead magnets. So whether if it's building an inspirational quote, right, and that's to draw inspiration, of course, right, or if it's a nice photo from a local artist, and that the goal sometimes is to just showcase some of their work as well, right, to build up your expertise. So in terms of a more general speaking type, with building lead magnets, for example, an education article, you really want to showcase your expertise and your knowledge as well. At the same time, we can do it in terms of an introductory video type. So a lot of people put it on their website, or they put it on the top of the Facebook or the YouTube channel kind of thing. That's kind of a way to start building trust as well. I've also find that a lot of people like to use ebooks especially for the professional service people. So let's start with a short, like maybe 1 page, 2 page type of ebook, just to intrigue people, to see if they can understand a little bit more about what you can offer. Checklist is a big thing. Checklist is a big thing, especially for a lot of wheelchairs that we work with, like 20 things you need to get ready before you sell or you buy. Right, so that's a good thing. So checklist may probably work well for you.
Yes,
as
absolutely.
well.
Especially in home staging. A lot of people, because I offer consultation for those who are going to live in their homes while it's listed, as well as furnishing vacant properties. So a lot of times if someone's going to be living in the home, there's a lot of anxiety of, oh, what do I get rid of? How much time is it going to take? I've often worked with young families that think they have to clear out all the kids' toys, which is just not feasible in most cases. So being able to go in with a checklist and say, hey, these are the things that you have to have in place throughout the listing. These are the things that you can do 20 to 30 minutes before a showing or a viewing or an open house. And people love that, because then it keeps on track. It's something to refer back to. And again, it just takes some of the guesswork out. So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Let's keep going down the list. Worksheets, and I think I've seen a lot of these mortgage calculator type or
Right.
worksheet,
Yeah.
that works quite well for that because it's a simple calculation. Podcasts and AMAs, ask me anything. Those are ways to build trust and also showcase knowledge as well. So a lot of these are really ways to showcase your trust, showcase your expertise and knowledge, and also build trust as in terms of the lead magnets. Let's see. Some tips for lead generations. But before we jump in, do you have any questions, Josh?
When you mentioned AMAs, could you define what AMA stands for?
Yeah, so AMAs. So the question was, can we define what AMA stands for? AMA is Ask Me Anything. Ask
Oh,
Me
okay.
Anything. So it's kind of like, it can be kind of like today. So if you have any questions that you can ask, you can definitely ask me as well. If I can answer to you right away, then I can do that. A lot of people do it on Reddit as well.
Yeah.
So a lot of politicians, especially, are doing the AMAs on Reddit. And is there any platforms that people will do AMAs on? Or?
I've seen people do them on Instagram stories or on Instagram TV. A lot of times you have that option to actually ask a question on Instagram in stories. And so I follow a tattoo artist who does them quite regularly. And they're not about her business at all. She just does it when she's bored, and it's adorable because she's hilarious. A lot of actors do it on Reddit as well, or they'll do a live stream of it on Facebook Live or something, and they have an assistant just handing them cards, and they answer the cards that way. It's definitely, I feel, if you've got an audience already, you've got a solid number of people who you've been interacting with, and it's kind of I feel like if you don't know what to do next with these people, an AMA would be a really great opportunity to send out, have a set date and time that you're going to do it, and send out either an email or a post campaign saying, hey, on this date I'm going to do it live or what have you. And Facebook Live is great because people can do it in comments, so you can be on there and answering in the comments.
Yeah, for sure. I think those are great sources for AMAs as well. Okay, so some tips for lead generation. So number one tip that I have is to make sure that you use the whole process to build trust. Okay, that's really what you're doing. Unless you're selling a physical goods, or unless you have a very, very fine-tuned process, right? The first page that people have seen is really all about building that trust and expertise, okay? Trust and expertise. So usually when you start seeing a landing page, the landing page is when people come in onto your website or through an advertisement or through your Facebook, that kind of thing. When they come into the page, they need to see who you are, what benefits that you are offering, right? And what type of social credibility they are. So the whole purpose of a page is to do that. And then, of course, there needs to be a call to action as well. So if people are interested, they need to have a way to move them forward. Right? So that's really how building that trust needs to be. And one of the ways to build trust is from consistency. So this is actually one of my favorite quotes as well from The Rock, from The Rock chats.
Who doesn't love The Rock?
So success isn't always about greatness. It's about consistency. Consistent hard work leads to success, and greatness will come. So sometimes it's not about the one time you're trying to build a page or an ad or a lead magnet and nobody's going onto it. Sometimes it's about tweaking it. Sometimes it's about consistently putting it out. Because the first time, the first 3 times, the first 5 times, right, people may not be seeing it. Right, you just need to fine-tune the process. You just need to consistently make changes and adapt it to the way that showcase your characteristic, that you feel the confidence in building in that page, and also in terms of bringing in the right audience. I think that's the big part as well. Don't forget about that. Sometimes people are just not ready, and that's okay. And that goes to my second point. It's bringing in laser focused targeting, right, and making sure that the content is relevant to your target clients, right. A lot of clients actually that work with me, they started off by saying that they have everybody can work with them, and the whole process is trying to understand how do you build it into like 3 to 5 types of buyers profile, and just making sure that how we can emotionally and also understanding what their needs are,
Right.
right, and then offering them and providing the information that they would need in terms of what you can provide, right? So making sure that the content is relevant is a big thing, and also working closely with the advertisement side and making sure that the advertisement is bringing in the right type of target clients, right? And that's the big part. And then I also suggest that we create multiple landing pages for different sets of clients, just because that one landing page may want to cater to a specific industry, and whereas another landing page may want to target another industry. Just like today, like when we're just focusing on the professional services, right? We also have a landing page that would focus on, let's say, wheelchair. We also work with a lot of health and wellness professionals, so that's why the topic can be very similar, or the landing page itself can be quite similar. However, just by having some different imagery, the language is quite different. You can actually cater them
Right.
like very differently as well. Right. And my third tip, it's also making sure that you build a nurture funnel. So making sure that you have a funnel, it's quite important because the fortune is always in follow-up. That's right. So making sure that you have some email sequences that when people coming in, that you're able to offer them and say, hey, what are some of the features you have? Who are some of the people you work with? These are ways to do it. Sorry, gonna. Oh man. And you want to make sure that you measure and you track them. And you track your result across time as well. I got a lot of things
It's
going
the
on.
season.
Sorry. Right, so making sure that you consistently measure and you track them. And a lot of times you can do it through Google Analytics. So with Google Analytics, just have to make sure that the audience type are coming in the right way, and that they are converting in the right way that you want it to be. Do you have any questions before? Do you have any
No.
questions?
Oh, me?
Yeah. Anybody,
I thought you
or
were asking Josh.
Josh or Shona?
No questions for me.
All right, sounds good. Sorry, I'm just a little bit. I don't know what happened to it. Start tearing up. Okay. Yeah. All right, and this is one of a conversion funnel content. So this is kind of a chart of how a funnel or conversion funnel is kind of like. So towards the top of the funnel, this is where the lead magnets are. So when people are coming into your website, that's what they would see most of the time. And the middle of the funnel is when people are considering your service, and that's the time that you're building the trust and you're building that engagement with these web visitors and these leads. And towards the bottom of the funnel, that's when they're getting close to buy your service, right, or product. So these are some of the content that you can offer to clients. Especially on the left-hand side, that's where the top of the funnel is. So education articles, introduction videos, a lot of the stuff that we talked about earlier. Towards the middle of the funnel, when you need to build trust, that's when you start giving them how-to videos, case studies of who you've worked with before, a little bit more detailed description about your product or your services, or your ebook, a longer ebook, right? As well as webinar replays. So like a webinar like today, right, we'd be ready to send it out to potential clients to build that trust as well. And towards the bottom of the funnel, that's when they're almost ready to buy. That's when you need to send them a little bit more social proof. So a little bit more testimonials, a little bit more of the service reviews. And if you sell a product, maybe you can send them like a Mother's Day special, for example, right? A discount and promotion, that would be something that push them a little bit over the edge and get them to convert into clients. I think that's pretty much it. So this is the time for a lot of questions. Is there anything that you want to talk about?
Oh gosh, I should have thought up some questions. Be a bad guess to not have any questions.
No, so actually, I do have a question. So I know a lot of the industry websites. So I think we mentioned about it before as well. So aside from Instagram, aside from your Facebook, I think a lot of, especially home designers, they love using House.
House, yes.
Houzz.
Yeah. It's great. I am woefully behind in updating mine, so I'm glad that Humphrey brought it up because that's a good reminder for me to get on there. House is wonderful. It's basically a gallery service where you can put your photos. You can use keywords, so clients can go in and if they're looking for a white kitchen, and I've designed a white kitchen in Vancouver, my photos will come up in their search. So it's a really unique service. What else is really helpful? LinkedIn has actually come back up to the top for me lately. When I first got started, I don't know if it was just me, again, being not that great with social media, but LinkedIn wasn't quite ready for me, or I wasn't ready for it. I don't know. LinkedIn wasn't great, but lately I've been getting to know LinkedIn more. Pinterest is also really great as a designer for sharing ideas with clients as well, because you can put together a pin board, or in my case, when clients are communicating their desires to me, it's great to ask them to go to Pinterest and start to curate images that they like and then share that with me, because oftentimes it's so much easier to show a picture of what it is you want done than try to describe it. So Pinterest has been really good too.
Oh, so Pinterest for you is almost like a project management board.
It really is.
Right.
It really is. It's just a wonderful resource, and I have a lot of my imagery up on Pinterest too. So if people are, I mean, I guess they can search me there. It's not as targeted and specific as House, but who knows? Maybe one of my designs will inspire someone in the States or in Europe, and
Right.
Yeah, I just love the idea.
Yes, so I think the whole idea is making sure that you have it consistently.
Yes.
And I think that's really the key.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Especially on House, because, and I'm not sure what other industries have sites like House, but again, it's about the keywords, making sure that your keywords are very consistent, because they act like hashtags, and that's what's going to bring your image up if someone's searching for you. So making sure that you put in Vancouver, making sure that you put in design, interior design, kitchen, white kitchen, like as many keywords as you can think of to describe the image.
Right.
It's more likely to come up and more likely to come to the top in the algorithms.
Okay, I see. What about traditional review sites, like a Yelp, or just simply like a Google review, or the 5-star? I think 5-star is the one, actually. No?
Is 5-star?
I think 5-star is used by a lot of home, like rental contractor type.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, I do know what that one is.
Yeah.
I haven't used any review sites. I generally use testimonials to make a blog post or a Facebook/LinkedIn article. That's how I've used testimonials in my practice so far, because I don't really use Google in my business.
Okay.
So this is why I like knowing people like Humphrey, because I'm clueless about this sort of thing. And yeah.
No, it's good. This is where I come in and start learning about what your industry is and seeing how the online side can be adapted to work as well. So
absolutely.
I think that's really the whole idea about the webinars today.
Yes. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I do have Facebook reviews, so I always ask clients that use Facebook to go in and give me a review and a little testimonial. So I've got a few on there.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think at the same time you can probably ask them using Google to review you as well, like sending them a Google link of what your business is, and then just ask them, hey, if you while you're at Facebook, if you don't mind doing a Google one as well. Yeah, that may be easier for them for a copy and paste
Yes.
type of work as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm currently working on building an email list.
Right.
I love MailChimp. MailChimp's another one that's
Right.
amazing. And I love that MailChimp it's like pre-programmed, or whatever the term is. It's got all of the Canadian anti-spam law wording already built into it. So as a Canadian entrepreneur, adding people to my mailing list, I know that I'm protected through MailChimp already, which is really great, because I know there's other mail out services that I've seen used that I don't know if they're just American based, but they don't have any sort of unsubscribe wording or anything like that. So that's what I appreciate about MailChimp.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah, and tell you the truth, MailChimp it's one of the most connected kind of email marketing services around,
Right.
and it's so easy to build a nice template, and a lot of people actually use it like to start off
Right.
as well.
Yeah.
But we do have a seminar about the nurturing side
Okay.
of things that talks about the difference between MailChimp and other type of automation program.
Awesome.
So we find that we've been actually migrating a lot of people from a MailChimp program into something like an active campaign
Right.
program,
Right.
which allows you to understand people's behavior and the type of like what kind of links that they have clicked, how long have they clicked for, like, and then from there you can actually segment them, and you can
Right.
make sure that, oh, these are the VIPs who click on 5 times,
Right.
or these
Yeah.
are the people who open the emails all the time. Then you
Right.
can actually zero them out and say, hey, these are the people who I really want to get in to talk to a little bit more. Right, so that's what I'm finding that MailChimp are not able to do
No.
as well.
No,
So
it's very basic.
but when you get ready to it, then that's when you start understanding the power of engaging people
Right,
through
yeah.
email, and that's when we start thinking about what's the next step.
That's
to
when
be-
you phone Humphrey, you have a jam session,
Yeah.
and you get yourself sorted out.
Yeah. So any questions from you, Joshua?
Yeah, Humphrey, I had a question for you. What has been the best channel for converting leads for you?
For myself or for Shona?
I guess for both of you.
Okay. So the question was, what is the best channel to converting leads for both of us?
For me, it is word of mouth referrals right now.
Right.
Because people get to know me, get to know what I'm all about, get the experience of working with me, whether that's a contractor or a tradesperson where we're working on something together, and then they know a client comes to them and they know that I'm the right personality fit, or it's a client that I've worked with who's had a good experience and passes that on to friends and family. So for me right now, it's word of mouth.
Okay. And for a lot of professionals, it's like that too. So for me as well, I think right now majority of my business are still coming from referral as well. In terms of digital marketing, yes, I've seen a lot of like say on ads on Facebook saying that, oh, do you want to make how many 6 figures, that type of thing, and that's what people think about digital marketing when they think about me as well, even though that I'm not associated to that, and I haven't run any ads that are like that as well. I'm finding that with online, there is a lot of competition, and the fact that people claims that they can do a lot of things, and sometimes without building that trust first, it's kind of difficult to sell. Like people would be engaging, would be say, hey, can you give me a quote, or can you give me a proposal? But afterwards, because they're just basically trying to compare prices kind of thing from here and there, it doesn't really showcase what kind of work that you can do. It doesn't really see if you can work that you'll be a good fit. I think being a good fit, being a good communicator, I think is a huge part of kind of what professional services does. Right, we're not selling a widget right here. We're really tailoring our knowledge for that client. So for me right now, it's also still the referral type. However, because when we start doing the webinars and things like that, we are using different ways to engage potential clients, and we're also using different channels and different channels just to make sure that we can build up that trust and expertise again, like we were talking about as well.
I feel, if I could jump in, I feel that the difference in knowing Humphrey, and I don't know a lot of digital marketing people, but what I appreciate about Humphrey is he wants to engage and educate and help me better understand not only what he does, but what I do and why I'm doing it. That's what I appreciate about Humphrey, rather than just handing over the reins to someone saying, hey, here, do it for me. because I'm the type of person that I like to understand what's going on. So for me, someone like Humphrey who likes to communicate and likes to educate would be a much better fit than someone who I'm just handing the reins on, and they're doing my copy and things like that. So.
I hear you. I hear you. Do you have something you want to share there, Josh? Or? Yeah.
No, thank you. That definitely helps a lot. Yeah, because I've definitely I have clients right now, and it seemed like, yeah, it has been a lot of through word of mouth and referral.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just looking on a way to just grow that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna keep going as well, but thank you for sharing that, Josh. So right now what I find is that with this with the whole webinar format, there's always an offer at the end. So this is where the offer comes in. It's kind of we're following the formula of what works and what has been proven. So right now what we learned today is quite a general kind of type of knowledge, right? And everybody's a little bit different. Every business has a different process. So what we do is we would follow up with an audit and discovery session. That's something called a JAM session. It stands for Juuga Actionable Marketing Jam session. So it's a 90-minute session, and what we do is we're going to sit down and we're going to start defining a target audience, understanding who your business is, who your target audience are for your business, who are your best type of audience, how to reach them. That's the big one. And then we may even go into creating more of a more of a campaign ideas, and understanding what state you are at through your SEO, through your Google Analytics, and through your ad strategy and social media strategy. We're going to start discovering some of the funnels that you may need to build through it. And through this, what you can get out of is you can start understanding, first of all, what you currently have, your current marketing state, and how to realign your marketing goals with your team members as well, and using that to set strategy for the next year. It is a paid session, so it's $397, and you can actually receive a calendar link, and you can get directions to access the web and social, and you can sign it up at this website, juuga.com/jam. Here are some of the clients that we've worked with before. A lot of them are kind of retail based. We have some professional services companies, financials, immigration consultants. So we have been working with a lot of these different types of companies as well. If you have any questions, you can feel free to give me a call or send me an email, and these are my contact information below. All right, any closing remarks? So I think this is about it that we have. 45 minutes.
45 minutes. I talk a lot.
No, I think you were great.
This entirely without me. I just wanted to say thank you again for the opportunity. I do love to talk, and thank you, Josh, for joining us. I didn't hear most of you because I didn't have the thing in, but I like having an audience, so thanks so much for joining us, and I hope it was useful for you.
All right, thank you. Thank you for coming by, Josh. And then you can always reach me out at this contact if you have any questions. And we're gonna be saving this webinar replay, and then I can send it out to you as well. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much. Okay. Have a good day.
All right, have a great day. Thank you.
Serious.